Yo, what is going on, Shuffle Squad? I hope you're all having a fantastic day. With Obsidian Flames finally here, there's quite a few cards in this set that seem quite interesting, and although we've covered Charizard here on the channel before, and I know a lot of you are very interested in Charizard, there are other cards that we definitely want to highlight, and today I'm going to be showing you guys Toedscruel EX.
The Shuffle Squad is proudly sponsored by Ultimate Guard, PTCGL Store, and Atlas TCG. Check out the description below for discount codes and affiliate links to support the squad. Now it's time for the video.
Toedscruel EX is one of the newest EXs that just came out of Obsidian Flames, and although it has a very interesting ability, it's not that bad of an attacker either. So, the ability is Protective Mycelium, where you prevent all effects of attack used by your opponent's Pokemon done to all of your Pokemon that have energy attached to them. Damage is obviously not an effect, so what is? Things like damage counters, so Sableye is not going to be able to spread any damage to any Pokemon that have energy on them. But Colony Rush is an extremely cool attack, where you do 80 base damage and then 40 more for each of your bench Pokemon in play that have any grass energy, which is great. So if you have 6 Pokemon in play with grass energy and then 80 plus, you can do 280 damage quite easily. So with that being said, let's go ahead and look over the rest of the list. We've got 4 Toedscruel. I like this one with 50 HP because, one, as long as we have a Toedscruel up, Toedscruel is not really worried about, Sableye getting a 50 HP knockout and then like spreading around and all that good stuff, but you do have to be cautious of things like Greninja. The reason why I like this one is it does have a single retreat cost, and although we're playing like 3 switches, I just find it to be a little bit nicer. We do have a copy of Leafeon V in here, so that way we can greening cells in the early turn. Very first turn is very nice. So that way, you get some energy out of the deck, but also it's not that bad of an attacker. Leaf Blade, 90 damage, but it's really here not only for that greening cells, but Leafeon V-Star. We have Ivy Star as our V-Star power chosen for the deck because it's essentially a boss's orders. And we do have some stuff in here that synergizes quite well with that Ivy Star. We do have 2 copies of Cherubi and 2 copies of Chiram, and the whole idea behind this, right? Now, Spring Bloom can't accelerate any energy to Pokemon that have rule boxes, so things like Pokemon Vs, Pokemon EXs, things like that. So, with that being said, how do you actually use the Spring Bloom? Well, you want to accelerate energies onto your Toedscruel and then evolve them. It kind of bypasses the whole can't accelerate energy to a rule box Pokemon because it's going to eventually evolve into one. Back when we had Vs, this wasn't really possible because your basic Pokemon was a rule box Pokemon, but now that we have EXs that, evolve, it's pretty easy to actually play a basic Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box and then evolve it into a Pokemon that has a rule box, so it synergizes quite well. For the rest of the Pokemon in the list, we do have 1 copy of Manaphy to protect our bench, 1 copy of Radiant Greninja for that concealed cards, and then a 1/1 line of Bidoof and Bibarel for draw power. You need that kind of consistency in these lists. We do have this is one of the cards that I really like that has like really good synergy with Leafeon V-Star, Echoing Horn. They're actually able to put a basic Pokemon onto our opponent's bench from the discard using Echoing Horn, and so long as we use that and then Ivy Star, like let's say something like Arceus V, we know that we can get a pretty easy knockout that way. 1 copy of Energy Retrieval. Now, we are going to be tossing energies away with Radiant Greninja, and we can probably expect some of our Pokemon to get knocked out quite easily. However, since our main attacker only requires 2 energy to actually use its attack, you can get the energy, that you need to attack with it out of the discard instantly. But it also relies on you having a bunch of energy all over the board, so it's another way to get energy out of the discard and onto your board. 2 copies of Escape Rope for switch options. We do have 2 copies of Level Ball, 4 copies of Nest Ball just to get these Pokemon out into play, 3 copies of Switch just in case someone like bosses out of a barrel. We start with something like a Cherubi. We don't really want to be throwing energy in the discard unless it benefits us through something like concealed cards, so we don't want to like attach retreat. And even though I said, hey, 1 retreat cost is pretty good, we're most likely not going to be retreating out of our Toedscruel unless we have a Toedscruel on the bench that can attack. We do have 4 copies of Ultra Ball here to find things like our Toedscruel and Bibarel, as well as we don't really need Ultra Ball to find Chiram because you can find it through Level Ball, but if you need to, it's there. 3 copies of Artisan to get, help us get set up. We got 2 copies of Boss's Orders because technically we play like 3, one's like a pseudo boss. The good thing about like Ivy Star is you can use Ivy Star to boss out opponent's Pokemon and then hit them with an Iono, which we play 4 of, or Judge, which we play 4 of. So you can disrupt them and get a Pokemon into the active that you can knock out in a single turn, which is great. 1 copy of Choice Belt here so that 280 can become 310 against Mew VMAXs, and then to round it all off, 12 copies of Grass Energy. So that is the list. It's a very straightforward, basic kind of list, but I think Toedscruel with its ability is kind of going to be more of a tech type card. In the future, we see a lot of Pokemon that have amazing effects of attack. I think a 1/1 line of Toedscruel could really offset those cards' playabilities. So Toedscruel is really good with that protective mycelium, and Colony Rush is not that bad of an attack, but we are building this deck completely based off of just the Toedscruel. So let's just jump into a game and see how well it does. Alright guys, here we go into our game with Toedscruel. Now, again, this isn't a deck that I don't think that this is a deck that you're going to see competitively, because Toedscruel, I mean, it can hit some decent numbers, right? But with the fear of Charizard everywhere, I don't know if it's a deck that will see a ton of competitive play. Plus, my deck is very basic, it's very straightforward, it's just get these these forest squids out as fast as you can and get them built up. So, I mean, it's something, right? You know that you get swing decent numbers with this type of deck. Wow, this is a very, very bad hand. Wow, okay. Well, at least we're getting a mulligan draw, which is nice. Are we up? Are we up against Meowscarada? I saw Grass Energy and I saw Double Turbo. I'm interested. You've got me interested. We will take the extra energy card. Thank you very much. Now, we do have a Nest Ball in hand. We could Nest Ball for a Greninja and then Iono. So that's not too bad. We just need to make sure that we're getting some Toedscruel on the bench, and they're going to help us out by playing Artisan, which is very, very nice. They could be playing like Arceus Toedscruel, which would be interesting. Nice little weird mirror. It's not like an exact mirror, but it's something. So Artisans, they're going to look through their deck, see what they prize, see what they have available for resources, and then slap down another Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box onto their bench. This is going to tell us everything. This is going to tell us everything. It tells us nothing. I see Mew and I see Bidoof. There's a few decks that could play that combo. This should help us understand what we're up against. Now, I do think that the deck that we're playing right now is very, go first reliant. So that sucks for us a little bit, but we'll see. And a Pidgey. So you know what? Still, we don't know anything. We saw Grass. We saw Double Turbos. I'm not sure what in the world we're up against. We know that there's a Pidgeot in the deck at the very least. So the new Pidgeot EX is somewhere in this list. We know that they draw with Bibarel. We know that they have Mysterious Tail. And they're playing Great Balls. So honestly, I still have no idea what we're up against. That's the cool thing about... Okay, so it is Meowscarada. That is the coolest thing about getting into a new format. You just literally never know what you're going to go up against, which is always super cool. And another energy to draw. So let's just go ahead and get ourselves a Greninja. And I do appreciate them getting us the Artisan into play. We didn't prize any Toedscruels, which is awesome. I'm debating if I want to judge them. We'll concealed cards first. We got ourselves a Manaphy, which isn't bad. We're swinging 80. But I also need another Cherubi in play. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hold the hand here, and I'm going to retreat into Manaphy, and I'm going to Iono. I know it gives them 2 extra cards, but honestly, we need to make sure we're getting somewhat set up here. Okay, this feels a little bit better. We do have a level ball here to get ourselves the Cheerum for next turn. I don't see them boss KOing my Toedscruel, so I feel kind of safe getting the Bidoof down. We don't have any draw support for next turn. Well, we do have the Greninja still, but that's 2 energy that in our hand. Ooh, you know what? Maybe I get the Leafeon. Do I get the Leafeon here? I think we get the Leafeon here. My reason behind this is we can at least Greening Cells, attach 1 from deck onto Toedscruel, and then we have 1 energy in hand that we can toss with concealed cards and still be able to attach onto Toedscruel to evolve, and then we can attack. So that feels fine to me. We should be okay. Now, the scary thing about this situation is Toedscruel's ability actually only prevents effects of attack. And with Meowscarada's ability Meowscarada's damage counters come from effect of attack, or effect of an ability, which Toedscruel doesn't protect against. So think of your common cards like Hawlucha, back in the day when we had Zigzagoon, cards like that or even Inteleon, that's a very, very prevalent one in this format. Inteleon VMAX, those types of cards are abilities. So Toedscruel is not going to be able to protect you from those, but any sort of an effect of an attack from like something like Greninja or Articuno's Paralysis, that will be shielded with Toedscruel. So that is something to take into consideration when you're building this type of deck. If you're new to the game, you don't know the difference between effective attack or effective an ability or anything like that. Basically, that's how this ability works. It's only going to be the effect of an attack and not any sort of effects from ability. Okay, so we're seeing it attach onto Mew. They did get a Meowscarada out, which is kind of nuts, but they do have to attach to it. Meowscarada coming into the active here. Okay. Well, we know that they can't attach a double turbo onto Meowscarada, so that is actually pretty good for us, right? Because we know that they're not attacking our Manaphy, but the downside here is because they're not knocking out our Manaphy, we now have to find or waste a resource to get this Manaphy out of the active spot. So let's see if we can actually do that. Okay, we can top deck the switch. I guess that helps. Let's go ahead and conceal cards here. Give us something good. We got another Toedscruel. Okay. We'll go ahead and attach an energy here. I think the downside to this situation is we don't have any draws. So I'm actually going to Artisan for a Bidoof, which feels bad because now we don't have another slot for a Toedscruel. But at least we know that we're going to, you know, get 80 damage down onto this Meowscarada. And we're going to need to use this Cheerum as much as we possibly can. That's interesting. 120. That shouldn't say 120, right? 40 more for each of your benched Pokemon that have any grass. I don't have any grass. Okay, well, I guess in this video, you're finding out that Toedscruel is actually bugged in PTCGL. That was only supposed to do 80 damage. Only 80 because we do not have any Pokemon in play with grass energy attached to them. That was only supposed to do 80 damage. It only gets the buff if there's a bench Pokemon with grass energy on it. So Toedscruel itself is not on the bench, so it shouldn't count for itself. That's why it only has a maximum damage output of 280. Interesting. Okay, so Toedscruel is buffed, or is, did I say buffed? Oh, Toedscruel is bugged in a PTCGL. That appears to be the case, unless me like switching it from the bench to active caused that bug and like next turn we swing 80. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, but it looks like our opponent is bricked. They are bricked. We're gonna need to use this Cheerum as much as we possibly can. I think the one downside here is like we can't build up another Toedscruel. We're kind of like ride or die on this one right now. Which doesn't feel great. We did get, you know, 120 damage down on the Meowscarada, so that's something. We were only supposed to get 80. But still, I mean, you weaken the Pokemon a little bit, and then if they can't attack you, you're able to like really make sure that you can get some energies down onto the board and then swing big on your next turn. Ultra Ball here. If they have a rare candy in hand, they could Meowscarada again, get another Meowscarada on the bench. No magic bouquet or bouquet magic coming into play just yet. No grass energy have been tossed. That was all discarded earlier, pretty sure. So, well, yeah, definitely sure because there's no damage on my board. And Manaphy is another one of those cards. So Manaphy does not block Bouquet Magic. Again, if you're new to the TCG or this is a mechanic that you don't know about, Manaphy prevents damage done to your bench Pokemon by the attacks of your opponent's Pokemon. Again, this is an ability, and also it is damage counters. Damage counters are completely separate from damage, so Manaphy would not be able to block something like Meowscarada. Okay, so DTE goes on to Meowscarada. They're going to be able to do 100 to us, which is scary because we don't have another backup attacker currently on the bench, which doesn't feel good at the moment because Toedscruel is something that we do have to evolve up. But if we're able to get a bunch of energy into hand, we should be able to get a KO on this Meowscarada, kind of reset them into finding another Meowscarada plus DTE. Hopefully that's the case because we are not looking very good at the moment. Escape rope. Let's get rid of the Cherubi and the escape rope here. We will grab ourselves Bidoof. Bidoof can go onto the bench, and then we are going to be able to draw some cards. Hopefully we get some energy cards here. We need a couple of energy cards. We get no energy cards. Yikes. We do have the option to judge, which I think I'm going to do. We need energy in order to get a KO here. No energy in play. Okay. I think the correct move is to switch out this Toedscruel into Manaphy, give it the fodder. They don't have any Pokemon that can actually like attack into us. And then I'm going to greening cells and energy onto my Leafeon V. Because Leafeon is a little bit bulkier. It's a harder Pokemon for Meowscarada to knock out. The only way that they'll actually be able to pull it off in one turn is if they boss out Leafeon after they use a Bouquet Magic onto Leafeon. Then they can get the knockout for sure. But I think they'd rather target down our Toedscruel. Hopefully after the judge they don't have a boss's orders in hand. We might have disrupted them well enough. But they do still have the ability to use Bibarel's Industrious Incisors. So they can reduce their hand down a bit. They should be able to like draw a few cards. But I don't know. I've seen one Ultra Ball. I'm not sure. I've seen Great Ball, which is a card that you don't see often. I don't know what their Pokemon search count is. See what they nest ball for. I'm curious to see if they actually play like Radiant Alakazam, but they choose to get nothing here. I wonder if they have a second nest ball that they need to burn. Okay, that is the right way to actually burn your nest balls. If you have a slot open, just play a couple nest ball, burn it, play another one. You know, that's a really good way to burn nest ball from the hand. Meowscarada. Okay, so they do have another Meowscarada just to naturally evolve. Another DTE. They're going to be able to draw 4 here. The question is one of the 4 cards they draw going to be a boss's orders? Because we cannot afford to be bossed. I can tell you that much. Rare Candy into the Pidgeot EX. Pidgeot EX is going to get them the boss's orders out the quick search. Pidgeot EX is insanely good. It is so good. Honestly, I think Pidgeot EX is the card that Meowscarada has been needing this whole time. They're not going to boss. They're going to Colress. Oh my god. Okay, you know what? We'll take it. We'll take it. I am not going to be sad about that at all. There is no need to be disappointed in the slightest. Okay, so now the question is, I have a boss's orders in hand. We know that we can't one-shot Meowscarada because our maximum damage output is 280 damage. So, the question now is, do I boss out a Meowscarada and do damage to that one so that way my next Toedscruel can knock out, probably not get knocked out, knock out, hopefully give us like 4 prizes off of that. That's kind of like my goal here. We know that we can Oko the Pidgeot, so that's a boss's orders option for later. But for now, I'm thinking that might have to be the game plan. Try to get 4 prizes and give them 2. Because we know that we can't Oko that Meowscarada. There's no way for us to actually possibly do that. You know, this could also be a deck that doesn't even play boss because they expect to like Bouquet Magic every turn. Energy Retrieval, so they are actually going to be able to Bouquet Magic now. They haven't been, I think it's like turn 3 and they haven't been able to do it. So, hey, finally getting that going. I would assume they're going to target like Cheerum and the Toedscruel. Although I don't know why you would target the Toedscruel if you know that you could just Oko it. You could just attack it with Scratching Nails to get the KO there. Only got 190 HP left, so I wouldn't target the Toedscruel with the Bouquet Magic. Alright, it's only 1 Pokemon. I thought it was 2. Yeah, it's only 1. So they could do like 30 damage to Cheerum. They could do 60 maximum to Cheerum with a double Meowscarada EX. So Cheerum could possibly get knocked out. I don't see them going for Toedscruel. If they go for, they're going for Greninja. Okay, don't hate that. And probably Greninja again. They could actually like put some on the Cheerum. Going for a Bibarel. You know what? Fair. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Escape Rope. Okay. Okay. We need a Pokemon to get knocked out. I value the Bibarel more than I do the Greninja right now. And I don't want this Cheerum to get knocked out. So, unfortunately, we're going to lose the Greninja. But the bright side here is that if they promote the Meowscarada to KO our Greninja, we don't have to waste a boss's orders on my game plan here. So that is pretty nice. The super scary thing about this matchup, though, that I'm realizing is Toedscruel only has 50 HP. So if they get a bunch of energy in the hand, they're going to be able to just KO Toedscruel off of off of bouquet magic, which doesn't feel good. So maybe I do have to go for just KO on Meowscarada. I think that might have to be what I do. So that way they only have one Meowscarada, and then they have to get something like a Radiant Alakazam into play to KO my Toedscruel. Honestly, that might have to be the game plan. So we're going to have to boss his orders, that Meowscarada on the bench for KO. Artisan, kind of useless here. Let's go ahead and get the hand size down a little bit. Just doing 160. We need a couple of energies. We probably should have played this nest ball to burn it. Okay, please give us a couple of energies. Please. Okay, not bad. It is something. Go ahead and Colony Rush here. Get that onto Toedscruel. And we are swinging 200 now, so that is more than enough. We are 10 over. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and Colony Rush. Although I don't think it's supposed to be that number, right? It's only supposed to be 160. So I think Toedscruel is bugged. Because 40, that's 80 plus 80, is only supposed to be 160. There's no reason we should have been able to get that KO at all. There's no... So I guess Toedscruel is bugged. Confirmed for sure. I'm starting to think like maybe I shouldn't like go for attacks if it's not true, right? If it's not like the true damage output for KO, maybe we shouldn't go for it. We know that we can max out at 280. I'm not sure why it's calculating an extra 40 though. Because Toedscruel, I think the way that like Toedscruel's reading in the game itself is that it's each of your Pokemon that have any grass energy attached instead of each of your benched Pokemon. So I think that just might be like an error with the coding on Toedscruel. But yeah, currently it is a bugged card. I mean, you're still going to see what it can do, though. Now, this is actually super awesome. This is something that I wanted to actually... This is perfect. So, Protective Mycelium, right? Prevent all effects of attack. Well, do you do damage to damage counters? Okay, so this is perfect. Toedscruel would actually block Medicham B because Yoga Loop puts 2 damage counters on one of my Pokemon. Now, with that being said, right? Because damage is not an effect, damage counters are. Meaning that any Pokemon with energy attached to it should block anything like a Yoga Loop. So if they move damage onto a Toedscruel, if they even like bouquet magic off the ability, 30 onto Toedscruel, and then they use Yoga Loop to try and get the KO on Toedscruel to take another turn, it wouldn't work because Protective Mycelium should actually block this. Since it's not damage, it is damage counters. So it's an effect of an attack. So hopefully that's not bugged. Hopefully that is not bugged because Toedscruel does have an energy on it. Hopefully this should work because we just found out this card is bugged. If it doesn't work, I'm going to be absolutely mind blown. Because that is how this should work. But we will find out together. So 2 more energy should actually KO this Medicham. Okay, it looks like it worked. Perfect. It worked. Love to see that. So Toedscruel is not completely bugged. Not completely bugged. Okay, so what do we need to do here? We need 2 more energy to get a KO on this Medicham. Even though we only need 1, according to the game, we only need 1. We're going to try and get 2 down to make sure that we're actually getting a KO here. So let's go ahead and we can cheer him an energy onto a non-rule box Pokemon. We'll go ahead and put it on the Cheerum. Let's go ahead and Ultra Ball away a couple of Nest Ball here. We can get ourselves a Toedscruel EX. Just thin the deck out as much as we possibly can. No need to switch. I'm gonna INO here. Hopefully we can hit ourselves in energy. We got to put it on a different Pokemon. Nice. Okay, so we got a couple of energies, actually, because we do have energy retrieval, which I think there's a couple of energy in the discard. There are. Perfect. So let's go ahead, and we will Spring Bloom here and energy onto Manaphy. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. That should be enough. Yeah, that should be 240. Is it calculating right now? 40, 80... 160, 160. I don't understand Toedscruel anymore. Okay, let's go ahead and energy retrieval though. Let's get these energies out of the discard. So we're doing 240 right now. This should be 280. Okay, so that's the maximum. Maybe it's up to a certain threshold that it's not working correct. Maybe I missed something before. I'm not sure. I'm honestly like completely unaware of how this is working now, because that is the maximum output. I wonder if I put another energy on someone. Let's just put it here and see. Okay, so yeah, no, it doesn't work. That was just for the experimentation here. Okay, so yeah, we'll just go ahead and Colony Rush, do 280 damage to this Medicham V. We should have saved that energy for the Toedscruel, but I really wanted to make sure that the ability was working. Okay, so we have a Choice Belt and an Artisan. If we could actually get ourselves the Leafeon V-Star, now that we're doing 280 damage, we should be able to just boss out this Pidgeot and take a KO for the game. Interesting, though. Now, if I remember correctly, I had no energy on the bench, and I swung for 120 before. I started putting energy down. I think after 3, it started calculating correctly. I think Toedscruel might be bugged up to a certain point, guys. But at least it's allowing me to play fairly now. I wanted to make sure that I got all those energies down to actually, like, if this were a real game in real life at a locals or something, you want to make sure that you're playing by the rules. I wanted to get that extra energy down to ensure that we got the KO on the Medicham. Because it shouldn't be for each, right? It's just 40 damage for each of your bench Pokemon that have any grass energy. So not for each grass energy, just for each Pokemon with a grass energy. Okay, so they're going to use Quick Search here off Pidgeot. I love this Pidgeot. Quick Search is so good. So busted. Honestly, Quick Search in a Toedscruel deck would actually be pretty dope. It's got a decent attack too, Blustery Wind. So if your opponent tries to like Path Lock you, you could Blustery Wind, discard the Stadium, try to survive a turn, and then you know you can Quick Search next turn if they don't have another path to play. Could be pretty decent, but it looks like we are literally just a boss's orders away from winning this game now. Well, I say that. We're a boss's orders and an energy away from winning this game. 2 energy, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, 2 energy, because we need to put an energy on Toedscruel. Technically, it would have been like completely free if we didn't put an energy here to see if Toedscruel was bugged past its 280 threshold. So that energy would have went on to the Toedscruel EX normally, but yeah, we didn't quite get there. So we wanted to make sure that it was working up to its threshold. That energy should have gone here, so that way if we drew into another energy, we could have put it on something like a Toedscruel. Okay, so we're seeing a Bouquet Magic. 30 damage onto Toedscruel. I'm not sure why they're deciding to do this. You know that with Scratching Nails, you're swinging for 200 at this point. So, well, I guess, yeah, you know what? Actually, that's fair. That's fair. You are only swinging for 200, so you probably want to get this in range. That's fair. I thought they would have it anyway. Turns out they do not. That minus 20 really biting them in the butt. If they didn't have the DTE, they would definitely knock us out. So yeah, we don't even need Boss. We just need a Grass Energy and an Ultra Ball. We can get an Ultra Ball. We can Ultra Ball Leafeon. And when we Ultra Ball Leafeon, that's technically a boss that we can use to get Pidgeot into play. And then we just get a KO on Pidgeot with a Toedscruel. But this Toedscruel is going down this turn, which is very sad to see. We didn't want to see our little homie go, but fortunately he can't stay here. So bye-bye Toedscruel. We will bring up this other Toedscruel. And we'll pray. It's It's actually not that bad of a top deck. It's really not that bad, right? Because we know that we can get to 2 and then draw with the barrel. Better than going 4 and getting nothing. So let's go ahead and thin out the deck. We don't want to draw into the Cheerum. We have the V-Star. We have 2 Ultra Ball. We have only 1 energy left in the deck. Oh, man. This is going to come down to the wires, isn't it? Okay. Let's go ahead and Iono here. Hopefully we hit exactly what we need. Come on, Iono. Don't let us down. We got the energy, which is great. The big downside here, though, is we don't have... Oh, no! We messed up. We messed up bad, didn't we? Yeah, we messed up pretty bad. We were supposed to attach that energy to Toedscruel. But now we don't have any energy left in deck. And we got the Ultra Ball, too. Oh, no. We got the Leafeon and everything. Did I prize an energy? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We prized 2 energies. We should have checked that. Oh, that doesn't feel good. So there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do. We can evolve the Leafeon at the very least. Oh, man. We have to pass. Dang, dude. Oh, that's not good. That's not... We totally misplayed that for sure. We totally misplayed that for sure. We should have attached that to the Toedscruel. I forget. Yeah, my brain went dumb because we wanted to attach an energy onto the Cheerum to see if Toedscruel was bugged to the point that it passed its threshold. And because we experimented this game, we completely threw away the opportunity to win, because that energy should have gone onto the Toedscruel, and then the energy from deck should have gone onto this Toedscruel. So because we experimented to see how bugged Toedscruel was, we effectively lost this game, which, to be honest, I think is fair that we lost this game, because we did swing 120 when we shouldn't have, and then we also experimented, which you obviously don't want to do in a real game, but it's PTCGL. Things are bound to be messed up sometimes. So there's that. We know that Toedscruel is bugged, and you guys also got to see some of the power behind Toedscruel. You know that it can swing for ridiculously good numbers, and also its Protective Mycelium is an extremely powerful ability that can stop your opponent from popping off when they want to. So things like that Yoga Loop being blocked earlier was extremely useful, and it stopped our opponent from taking a KO and a second turn. So you got to see the full power of a Toedscruel EX deck, but you did get to see me blunder through experimentation to see how bugged the poor card is. So if you do plan on bringing this to an online tournament, make sure you try to at least play it to its actual wording. Like I said, I wanted to get an extra energy down because I knew that would have been the proper amount to get a KO. So we are going to get knocked out here. We are going to lose the game. But actually, we're not going to get knocked out where they're off by 10 damage. They are off by 10 damage, but I'm honestly going to give it to them because they're going to attack us. We can't attack. They're just going to Painful Spoons 10 off of the barrel onto Toedscruel, and then that's going to be the game. So we're going to concede here, and GG's to our opponent. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I didn't even know that Toedscruel was bugged, but hey, this is how we learn. You play the game and you report these bugs upline to the devs so they can get it fixed. But I'm just happy to showcase its power of being able to swing 280 damage and its defensive capabilities through Protective Mycelium. Sure, we didn't win the game, but you guys get to see what this card is capable of doing, and I personally believe that it's a really good card. It hasn't been 100% figured out yet in decks, but you know it swings for weakness on Zard. So thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe down below to the Shuffle Squad. Leave a comment on what you think about Toedscruel EX and like the video. So, hey, you can come and refer back to seeing Mycelium work against Yoga Loop if anyone tries to argue against it. But until next time, thank you for watching. Stay safe and be kind.
You made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching this entire video from the Shuffle Squad. Honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate each and every person that supports our content, watches what we have going on every single day, every single week, even from time to time, and continuously allows us to have a forum to project our creative content towards the Pokemon TCG community. So if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and even leave a comment to help boost the YouTube algorithm. That being said, we'll catch you with our next video. Thanks again. Take it easy.